I am Dreamboat. I'm going to be casting probably at this volume for the majority of the night, just because I don't want to get overly hyped, because there are people sleeping in my household currently.
I am GL Phoenix, and with me is Dreamboat, and tonight we'll be bringing you a Division 2 match between Tracer Dab and Silence. And Dreamboat, how are you feeling about this one?
You know, I'm actually quite excited for it. We're here in the second division of AAOL. We got two teams that, you know, they've done a fair bit so far this season. That we are getting near the end, but the end is not quite nigh. But, you know, they're two good teams. I really think they're going to bring a really strong set here. And, of course, starting off on a good map as well. Can't really go wrong here at all.
Yeah, it is going to be on Ilios. We do have the 3-map series that we have had throughout this entire event. So we'll be starting out on Ilios, moving over to Gibraltar, and finishing off this whole thing over at the Horizon Lunar Colony. But yeah, Ilios, and we're starting off on the well. And Dreamboat, looking at both of these compositions, what can we really gather from what we're seeing so far?
I see a team going boop heavy and a team not going boop heavy. Really, over on one side, we've got Cherowitz. He's the only person who can kind of knock someone into the pit. On the other side, though, I mean, there's Arcs with the Roadhog. Samo's got the Farah boop. Dr. Meme's got the Ursa Graviton. You know, there's a lot of booping going around over there. So I'm expecting to see some people go pit side.
Yeah, could very well see that happen. There is the Wrecking Ball who can nudge people around left, right, and center, which is probably still a bit more. It's still not a lot of displacement, but right off the bat, we are going to have Silence just cleaning up the initial fight very cleanly. There's really nothing that Tracer Dab are able to get much done, as ARX does finally get a return kill, but it's just going to be completely negated by that resurrection from Cherowitz. And right off the bat, Silence. It's a clean one there, Dreamboat.
Yeah, I mean, going for the displacement boop strats is all good and jolly, but you kind of need to get around the pit if you want to knock someone in it. Very, very aggressive push coming in, not letting those players get in position to kind of capitalize on the pit, and really good job with the cleanup. And we have another engagement coming in here. Wrecking Ball's going to get right in the area. Denial's coming in, blocking all of these players off. That is huge. And it will actually pick up Pulsix. That's a huge late pick. Chung-Li has come back in with a couple picks off this Diva right now. His healers are down, though, so I don't think they'll be able to push this through as HDDN gets another kill.
Yeah, they're able to keep the fight going, and we're seeing Ghost on this Wrecking Ball getting a lot of work done because of how clumped up the side of Tracer Dab wants to be. All of the displacement and even the adaptive shields from this Wrecking Ball are just getting immense value. It's making it very hard for Tracer Dab to push through that.
Wow, we've got going again forward. They're just doing everything they can to zone out these players. Again, that Hammond is in a great spot right now. Doesn't have the denial this time, so they aren't able to pull that one out. But we'll get the adaptive shields out as they have the full wide side push right now. And Cherowitz has gone down. That's a very early pick, but the Dragon Blade's coming out here from the Genji. HDDN's going to get a kill as well, so this is a nice hold coming forth, but they need to keep finding the rest of these kills. Area Denial is in. That's going to demech the Diva, but Dr. Memes come through with 2 quick kills off 1 singular fire strike, and that's going to actually allow them to get on this point, and they should get some cap time off of that one.
Yeah, it did take a while for them to actually get onto the point, and because there are a few trailing members here for the side of Silence, are able to stall out and at least push it into overtime. But we do have Ghost coming back in. The rally up has been procced by Samo, and here we got Ultimates popped left, right, and center. Coalescence coming in right on the front lines here from the Moira. We do have Cairo taking down the Pulsing, so even though Silence did end up losing the previous fight, they're able to get back, and the reinforcing members, they're starting to make a difference here, Dreamboat.
Yeah, absolutely. They're starting to find some of these kills. Super Duba CB is going to go down. HDDN gets picked off by the Deadeye, but the Area Denial is going to pick off the Moira. That's a big pick to try and zone these players out. There are still some mines down, but Dr. Meme is cleaning them up with that big heavy hammer. However, Cairo and Ghost, you know, demeching and cleaning up the Diva. That's a huge pick. There is the Earth Shatter. It doesn't connect on anything as Arcs has fallen. This isn't looking good. They're just being stonewalled off this point. They're going to step off of it, and that's going to be 100-0.
I have to really shout out Ghost, who just controlled so many fights from start to finish and made it incredibly hard for Tracer Dab to stand their ground. As you were saying, the area control from that minefield just made it incredibly difficult.
What?
Well, this is interesting.
I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
Well, time to find out if
how does that even happen?
I don't know. That's a new one. So we get the same segment twice.
We got well into well.
I guess. I have no idea. That's amazing. Don't you love it when we just happen to break the game here down in Australia?
I really. How do we even deal with this? Do we just start it again?
I think we'll like. I feel like we have to go to the next segment. They updated the settings. I think they're trying to figure out what's going to go on with the admins.
Do we just like a best of one and just keep on resetting the map until we get not well? Just keep on doing best of ones.
Yeah, I mean,
this is a very new experience.
I think we're just keeping track of score, and I think we're going to be restarting the map. It is silence up 1-0, of course, after that nice first wall segment, and we are not going back to the well unless. Hold on.
We should be going back to the well. If it sends us to the well, we'll have to just.
Yeah, here we go.
Possibly.
Here we go. All is good.
All right, here we go. Ruins. This is a very stark change of pace, going away from the barreling compositions. We're looking more along those long sight lines. Things like the Widow, the Hanzo. And,
yeah. Looks like we are still going to see Ghost on the Wrecking Ball, but this is a lot less... Like, there's a lot more roots into this point and kind of around it, so I feel like the area denial is not going to be as strong. On the well segment, it's a lot of tight choke points, a lot of tight corridors that he can just easily kind of lock... Like, not a lot of them, I should say. There's only a couple, but they are tight corridors and chokes that he can just lock down, and that's what was so effective about it. Now that we have a lot of different corridors here, a lot of different lanes, I feel like it may not have the same impact. However, it's up to him to prove me wrong, Phoenix.
Yeah, I do like the Wrecking Ball and how it's able to dismantle a lot of compositions and just make it really annoying, as you were saying. Because of the choke points and the style of, well, it meant that Tracer Dab, they were all clumped up, and that's where Wrecking Ball gets a lot of his value. But as you were mentioning, with this one, it's a little bit more open, and as we're seeing the composition coming out from Tracer Dab, it's a lot more mobile, and will be able to kind of avoid a lot of what Wrecking Ball wants to be doing, and won't give as much value when it comes to the adaptive shields. But we'll have to see how Ghost plays this one out, as we do have Wrecking Balls on both sides. And we've got a little bit more of a defensive positioning coming out from the side of Silence at the start of this one.
Yeah, they're getting right and very aggressive right now, but it's going to be HDDN for Silence getting the opening pick. Super Duper CB is going to find another one, HDDN with a second. This is just a bloodbath right now. Tracer Dab being completely stonewalled out here, as it's only Dr. Meme on the Wrecking Ball, and he's going to be flying his way out of there.
Yeah, just very, very calm and collected play coming out from the side of Silence, just waiting for Tracer Dab to overextend and then just picking apart one by one, because they've got the aerial control with HDDN on the Pharah with the help of Chowitz on the Mercy, so they have aerial control for days. There's not really much to deal with that outside of ARX on the Widow, but even then you do have how do you pronounce it? Super dub? I'm just gonna say super on the Widow
Super
to the side of Silence. Yeah, to really combat that as well. So they've got a lot of the bases covered, but Dr. Mean gets a nice kill onto the Winston. This will give a little bit of extra room to allow them to push forward towards this point. We'll have to see how they can actually walk through some of these sidelines with how controlled they are.
Well, they are still trying to get in an arcs.
Oh,
That's a nice opening pick. They're picking off the Ana. The res will come out, but Ghost has been cleaned up on the Wrecking Ball as well. So now Karu down once again. Arcs, that's back-to-back headshots there, cleaning up that kill. Super Duper is going to chime back in onto the Moira, but they have given up the point as we have the cap coming in for Tracer Dab.
Yeah, they do have the point for themselves now, and we have the engagement coming in for... Oh, it's an immediate self-destruction from HDDN trying to combat the dive coming in from Tracer Dab, but they're not able to really get much out of it as a minefield does get dropped onto the point, trying to secure the point for the side of Silence, making it hard for Tracer Dab to stick around. We're getting kills traded back and forth. Ghost does finally fall on the point, but with the rest of Silence not really around there, it's just so many different fights on so many different fronts that it's really hard to keep track of how this one is going and who is actually in the lead. But we do have the nano boost getting applied to Joshi on the Winston to just keep on pushing through, make their way back to the point, and try and force away the side of Tracer Dab. The sound barrier does get used, and they might be able to hold on for just a little bit longer as ARX really starts to pop off here, Dreamboat.
Yeah, he's found a few nice kills there. Chung Lee chiming in as well. And that's going to be a 3K for Chung Lee on that point. Doing a great job just cleaning up kills and potentially forcing us to a third segment of Ilos.
Yeah, and hopefully we won't have to do some kind of weird resetting if it sends us to the well again. If we do end up going to the third, but it's still not over yet.
Send us to ruins again. That's just the way it goes.
Of course, ARX does get a nice opening kill, and this is going to be the go button. Just switched on for the side of Tracer Dab. They go all in onto the back line. They do manage to get a good buy-in nade, but with the blade coming through, they're trying to slice their way through the back line. Hasn't really got anything yet, but there we go. Samo finally gets Kyro. Super Duper does get the return kill onto Samo, but they've already lost the Mercy, and they've been pushed away from the point so far that they're struggling to get on there. They're not able to actually reach it in time. Actually, they do, so it is into overtime. They try to keep the fight going, but because of how disjointed that approach was to the point, they're not able to get on there consistently, and they end up losing the point.
Well, with that segment of Ruins done, it's time to go right back to Ruins. But really, I mean, they just kind of weren't able to get the impact that they needed out of the Wrecking Ball. It had the area denial, but that got countered. Hey, that
actually worked out.
We got the right segment?
Yeah. But
you knew that could happen.
Yeah. We were right on the right track where it was just a very different style from the first map. And it seemed, the Ruins seemed to really suit the style that Tracer Dab wanted to be playing. They seemed to be wanting to play too much to the map when it came to the well, wanted to go for those boop strategies, trying to get a lot more of those environmental kills. But when they seemed to go back to something that was a little bit more comfortable for them, they really excelled with that. And I'm looking to see them pull a similar thing here at the Lighthouse.
And it was big for Dr. Meme to counter the Wrecking Ball ult really hard. We'll see if we can have another big impact here. They have engaged very early on. Kyra's going to be very damaged, taken out by Dr. Meme himself. Ghost looks to be demeched as well. So good job once again by Tracer Dab. And now Schemia is going to pick off the Mercy. This is a really great start here. Tracer Dab finding seemingly all the kills, and that will be pretty much a clean wipe. I don't think anyone survived.
Yeah, really well done there from Tracer Dab.
No bell, though.
This is night and day from what we saw on that first round on the well. They were just getting picked apart time and time again. They were barely able to get anything in a lot of those fights. But right now, as we saw in Ruins, and now we're starting to see here on Lighthouse, with just a few changes in compositions and just strategy, they seem to be much more coordinated in how they're diving onto that back line, and it's making it really hard for Silence to get a lot started. But they do get a nice kill onto ARX, and that might be the start of something big here.
One pick though, will it be enough? They need to find the second one, and that's not going to be the one that came in. Skibio getting the next one. HDDN though chiming in, and now with the ults coming out here, is not getting anything with it, and will be cleaned up by Pulsix. This is falling apart for this offense. The Diva Bomb not going to find kills either, and they continue to be cleaned up. Tracer Dab, they just can't be stopped right now.
Yeah, they're really just rolling their way through with momentum, and although there were multiple ultimates utilized from both sides, it's still going to go in favor of Tracer Dab, and they have some good ones to work with, and they're going to have something to hold on for this next push. They have a Pulse Bomb that they can potentially use to really great effect, but on the other side, they do have some very high impact support ultimates that they can use to try and wrest control of the point here.
I'm very confused. My keyboard is doing something of its own. So I'm trying to deal with this fight with my camera going all weird, but Pulsix will T-mech the Diva as my game is continually broken. HDDN though chiming in, picking off the kill on to the Genji. a good pick. It needs to come in more for Silence. You need to find something else in demecking Chun-Li. That is a great follow-up. Can they keep finding these kills? No, it's going to be Arx to pick off the Zenyatta of Kairu. Arx, he's still doing so much on this point. Finds HDDN as well. Ghost and Jershi will chime back in. Quick pair. That might be enough to wrest them control of this point. In fact, it looks like they will cap it up a little bit, but the Lucio, he's trying to deny as long as he can. Pulse 6 is there. He's got the Genji with him, but that's going to be the clean up, and finally Silence capping it out here. Took him long enough.
Yeah, they finally have some time at the point for themselves, and now it's a matter of how long can they hold on. They need to hold on for the whole 100%, because any strong fight coming out from the side of Tracer Dab, and it could just be lights out here on Ilios. And looking at ultimates, they do have some to work with. There are mech explosions on both sides, and HDDN does have a missile barrage. Haven't necessarily been the biggest deals when it comes to all of these fights. We do have the mech explosion coming through. He does take out Cherowitz, and that's a massive kill coming out for the start of this fight. Mech explosion on the return swing doesn't get much out of it, and the fight is going to continue on the point as we're just trading damage back and forth. But Jershi is going to get a couple of kills himself, and they are going to be holding on for just a little bit longer here, Dreamboat.
Yeah, we do have the group suicides coming in just to try and get on that same spawn wave. And that's, again, you know, we're up to 50% slowly being built here for Silence. Can they continue to pull this back? It would be a 99 to 100%. It would be a 0 to 100 real fast if they're able to pull this one out. However, Tracer Dab trying to get back in here might have something to say about that.
There is a few big impact ultimates coming in for the side of Silence. There is the Valkyrie. The Rocket Barrage does come through. Hasn't got anything just yet, and ARX gets the kill onto him immediately. The Resurrection will start to come in to get them back into the fight, but here comes the Dragon Blade. Slices straight through Kairu on the Lucio. They're trying to just knock out the rest of Silence. Pulse Bomb does get used, gets denied a little bit by that Primal Rage. Alex takes it and out again, so that Mercy is going to have her hands full throughout this fight as we're just trading back and forward. But a lot of the kills are going over to the side of Tracer Dab. They do get in a couple for themselves. Ghost get knocked straight off the map, but Arc is doing so much work on this Tracer, it might be enough to turn it around. They even just secure the point just by forcing away the members of Silence, and it's going to be real hard for them to get onto it. It's Kairu, the only one left, has to use the sound barrier to keep himself in the fight. The rest of the team is starting to make their way back here as well, but it's a little bit too hard for them right now, Dreamboat.
Yeah, they keep getting knocked at the point. The Diva Bomb's going to do a lot of work here. It will again pick off Cherowitz. So it's a perpetual pick that Chun-Li has been finding. Kairu will chime back in with the Lucio pick. Ghost finding one onto Dr. Meme. And could this start to be crumbling? Arx is doing such a great job picking off some of these supports, though. They still need to find a few more kills. There's a Tracer doing a lot of work. So is a Genji. But it looks like Jershi, wow, he's got a 2K for him. I think Silence might actually have done it. I don't think anyone can get anywhere close. There is going to be a cap. Someone is on that point, and they step off of it. It will be cleaned up. Silence stealing that one back 0 to 100 and taking this first map 2-1. Silence, man. What a play from them at the very end there.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be just them out of the fight because of how Tracer Dab were able to control a lot of that final fight, but with just Kairu on the Lucio able to stall it just long enough to get the Mercy, to get those tanks back into the fight, to really just wrest the control back in their favor. They were looking real not great for a lot of that final fight, but Silence are able to bring it out in the end. And considering how that second map went, or the second round went, it was looking like Tracer Dab had just run away with a lot of momentum, and Silence just kind of fell by the wayside. But once Silence was able to play from a defensive position, they were so hard to displace, and Tracer Dab, it was really about momentum, that entire map.
Yeah, they did a really good job pulling it back, making a bit of a game of it there. And then just at the very end, and there was nothing that they could do. Silence had everything. They had the answers. They had the momentum. Even when it looked so bleak for Silence, they still pulled back and prevailed. And yeah, that's kind of fitting why they were map 1 champions. We do have a player dropping right now? Question mark? So we're gonna have a small delay before we get into Watch Point Gibraltar, but that's gonna be our next map. In Phoenix, based on what you saw on that one, what would your predictions be for the second map?
It was really hard because we saw after it's really hard to take the first round completely from face value because it was the well, which does bring in a lot of varied compositions, which sure Silence was able to really dismantle Tracer Dab. But when we went on to, let's say, Ruins and Lighthouse, the dive compositions coming out from Tracer Dab, they were very proficient in getting onto those backlines and making it very hard for Silence. But Silence, when they were able to set up a defense and really just hold on to a point, it was Tracer Dab had a bit of a hard time trying to push in through a lot of narrow choke points. So if Silence are able to really control a lot of the fights, either on offense or defense, I think they are going to be able to come away with the win on Gibraltar.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. One of the things that I'm really going to look for is we had so much use of the Wrecking Ball. And I'm curious to see if it's going to continue that way. It can be really effective to force the defense off the cart or the offense off the cart. If you get the area denial right on top of it.
Yeah, and a lot of it is, do you expect your opponent to be running a more death ball kind of composition, or are they going to be in positions where you have multiple opponents stacked up on top of one another to get the value out of that Wrecking Ball? If you feel as though that your opponents are going to go for something like that, the Wrecking Ball is a great way to dismantle that. If there's going to be some static defenses, you can really knock people around and make it hard for them to stay a static defense, or even on the offense, if they want to be going for, say, the Goats comp, and just run their way through a lot of these parts in Gibraltar, make it hard for any kind of defense to really stand up. A Wrecking Ball can deal with that quite well, so I'm interested to see if he is going to be making an appearance on either side. But I just really like watching Wrecking Ball and how he has changed a lot of how these fights are really playing out.
Well, we won't have long until we finally figure out what we will get, speculation aside, because we are finally getting on our way to the map. We're going to be getting right into it here. And, it's tough what we'll see. We saw two incredibly close first segments, both of them 9900s. So very close, so very down to the wire. After that very first segment, that was 100-0. So we had a lot of tension in there. We had some tight performances. Will it continue here? Are we gonna get a cap all the way through? Will we have to go to second round, or what do you like?
It's possible.
How close will this be?
It's very possible, and just interested to see how this first push is going to be very telling on how I think this is going to play out, because we've got snipers on both sides. We've got double sniper for the side of Silence going with the Hanzo and also the Widow, because this is a map that you do have a lot of those long sight lines, and you can really control a lot of space using those snipers, make it very hard for the defense to set up. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this defense is going to try and hold on, because Arcs, just one sniper going up against the world, essentially.
He has hit a lot of very nice shots so far. He's been, especially on the Ruin segment, he was very good and kind of, I almost hate to say outclassing, but definitely outperforming Super Duper. And I'm curious to see if that's going to carry through. Super Duper does have the backup of HTDN on the dual sniper. They might be able to infiltrate this. There's also a very passive defense coming in right now. From Tracer Dab. They're sitting very far back.
Oh, great opening kill there for Arcs. Managed to take down Cairo. This is going to stall us for just a little bit. The Resurrection does get used, but still, great start to this fight, and they are starting to make their way forward with this defense, but just to force a reaction out of the side of Silence, but they are just going to keep the payload rolling. And as you mentioned, this defense not really making too much happen as a great kill goes on to Arcs, and without the Mercy, they don't have a resurrection to bring that Widow back into the fight, so they have to be very wary about how they're holding on here.
Yeah, it's just almost questionably passive. And then they went for this weird kind of 3-man dive in on that opening push, and that's again what they're trying to do, diving in with the Winston, D.Va, and Genji. Arcs will come back and find a kill on the Super Duper. Dr. Beam gets Jersh, so this is actually finally working out a little bit better because it seemed kind of weird. They just kind of dove, and rather than doing a lot of damage, they kind of just like fed 3 players initially, and they are still bleeding players here as well as Ghost finding a few more kills. HDDN as well doing work, and again, dive strat, it's just sure maybe this time they at least found a couple kills, but it wasn't really enough.
Yeah, it seemed as though because there was the 3 up on the high ground, they seemed a little bit too preoccupied dealing with a lot of the other snipers and some of the other members, but they weren't really helping out the rest of their front line, so they were just essentially left to the wolves and got cleaned up because of that. And now we're coming into this shuttle phase. They're sticking with this strategy still with the front line diving forward, but they are going to get, or Dr. Meme is going to get picked off, but Arcs, Samo, and Changli are going to be able to get onto the kill feed and stall out this push for just a little bit longer. So they're able to get this to work for patches, but I'm not sure how much of a sustainable strategy it is at this point.
Well, they've got a lot of time for this offense to try and work it. 4 minutes, and if they keep throwing in there, it's going to be a very much shorter round than 4 minutes, and they're diving the Winston right back in. Same although he's killed HGDN, and Arcs is going to pick off Kyrie, so they are starting to find picks with this strat diving in. That might be the way that they intended it to work, because they did kind of group them up together, trying to condense on those players, and cleaned them up with ease. And shout out to our mods for dropping bits.
Yeah, that was much more of a cleaner execution of this composition. Just have the snipers assisting that front line when they go for those dives. We saw in the first point, yeah, we did have the 3 at the front diving and the snipers at the back with covering fire, but they were going for different portions of the offensive force, and they just got picked apart one by one. But right there, they were able to get it to work out just fine, as we do have the Transcendence getting popped, as the Nano Boost is going to get used in response. But it looks like Suns are starting to get a few kills for themselves, and they're going to keep this payload moving. They are going to be able to get Dr. Meme as well, so with that front line not even there, and the Zenyatta, he is very deep and on a bit of a stealth mission there for the side of Tracer Dab, is going to get cleaned up. And not sure if he wants to use
at some point.
Yep, he goes down eventually. Doesn't want to use the Transcendence in a really not favorable situation, and does end up going down. But a great sleep dart does get used onto Super Duper and gets cleaned up by Samu with the Swift Strike, and they will hold on for just a little bit longer.
We do have Ghost getting right up in the face of Changli, and looking for a few more kills here if he can find any of them. Transcendence is popped off. Not really for a real apparent reason. No one was really in that much distress as HDM picks off Arcs. Looking for a few more kills here. Ghost is going to find Dr. Beam. HDM gets Samo too. And again, this defense continuing to fall. Changli going to throw the mech in. Yeah, kills the Widowmaker, but that doesn't really matter when your entire team is starting to fall apart without that. Rose is going to come back in on Kyrie, who got cleaned up. This defense still trying to hold, but again, Dragon Blade coming out right now. They're going to be cleaned up, and it looks like we will finally have this second point capped out at some point here, Phoenix. Oh my god, this fight is so long.
Surely it should finish at some point. We had all the Switcher members holding on for so long, and now the tanks are there, but they are slowly getting cleaned up with the Valkyrie getting popped by Chernovitz. They are able to stay around just that little bit longer on the offense. Transcendence, he's just going to sit there on that cart, not care about whatever anyone is trying to come at him with, but they do end up losing everyone, and that Transcendence is going to get pretty much no value as the point has been captured already.
Yeah, and same way I missed how he died there. I think he just jumped off a cliff, which is RIP Genji. But he's coming up Ponzo, so really RIP Genji, I guess.
Yeah, and we are back to double snipers on both sides. Arcs and Samu up against Super Duper and HDD, and I have to see who is going to be able to get the better in this push, as we do have Silence making their way around the bend. They have just one last stretch of terrain to go. Sammy gets a kill onto Hidden, so they're going to be able to keep this defense holding on strong as the Transcendents get used, but because they've already lost the members, they're not able to get too much value out of it.
Well, again, the res is going to come out on HTDN. That's going to give them a man up. But, this defense, it's starting to show some form of a hold. Can it continue? They've really kind of bent a lot, and they've started to crumble. But they're nice, showing some form of resilience. The game of the game is bend, don't break. You don't want to give it out. So we'll see if they can work it in. But Arx is getting that opening onto Kairu. This offense being stunted very early. Arx hitting another shot there. He's starting to heat up. He is starting to connect a lot more bolts. And if he can continue to do that, that's going to really make it a hard time for this offense to roll. Again, the res coming in, and he picks off Kairu. These kills, yeah. Arx is just on fire.
He comes up and it gets knocked straight back down. And as you said, Arx is just cleaning up left, right, and center as they're able to clean up a lot of that attacking forces. You're just saying it. This defense is starting to show its fangs, and they're just digging in and making it very hard with this double sniper setup. They're coming in at different angles, making it very hard for the offense to really be caught, or really know which angles to be paying attention to, because you got the Widow from one long sightline and the Hanzo from another, and they're just losing members time and time again. Sure, they have a resurrection, but you only have one of those, as we do have the Earth Shatter get dropped. They do knock several on the ground, but they're not able to follow up at all, as Dr. Mimi is going to start slapping away at Joshi, as the self-destruct did take down Kara as well, and the rest of Tracer Dab, I just rolled through, and Silence is not able to get much of anything really rolling here on this offense.
Where was this defense for the first 2.5 parts of this map, as HTDN is going to catch Samo out?
That could be an end with that Hanzo down. They do have one of those sight lines completely clear, so they only need to worry about that Widowmaker and where she's going to be coming in from, as the Dragon Strike just get layered straight through the point to try and split apart this offense, as we do have a Graviton. Nothing is caught in there, so they try to go for the big combo, but there's absolutely nothing there and nothing gets taken down. But because they are starting to make their way forward, they are starting to get a little bit of traction on this push here, Dreamboat.
A little bit of traction, yes, but they need to find a lot more space and a lot more kills. So far, it has only been Arx to fall. I'm looking for anything, and that's going to be Pulsix. That's the next pick. That is a massive one for them to find. This card's starting to move forward. Someone needs to start getting close and get on it. That's going to be Chung Li. But it's very quick that this Diva should be getting demaxed. In fact, it will, as Dr. Beam and Schemio are down. Doomfist is in. That's Arx trying to find anything. He found one kill, but again, they're zoning them right back off of this point, knocking them off a cliff, and that's going to be the cap out here. It looked dire for a while there at this, kind of stonewalling at this third point, but they managed to get all the way through. Silence with a nice job at picking up that cap.
Yeah, it was really started to fall into place once HDDN managed to get the kill onto his opposing Hanzo. It just opened up a lot more space, and it allowed the rest of the offense to just push their way through, make it very hard for the Widow on defense to stand her ground. And at that point, they were able to pick apart one after another the rest of the defense and hit Silence. As you mentioned, it was looking pretty dire. They were just running into a brick wall at that third point, but they were able to get it all the way through to the end, and now I have to see how they go on the defense.
Well, they'll have all the opportunity in the world to show that they're right. I mean, they just need to stonewall them at genuinely any point, and that just proves that they're better, right? That's how it works.
That's usually how it goes, yeah.
Yeah, apparently winning is how, beating someone is how you prove you're better than them. I'm unfamiliar. I've never beaten anyone. I'm kind of like the Cleveland Browns in that sense, I guess. But maybe Silence. Maybe they're not the Cleveland Browns. Maybe they're the New England Patriots. Gonna show that they're a dynasty here.
References here for the Australian stream.
Oh yeah. I think this is something like aren't the All Blacks like the New England Patriots?
The All Blacks.
Don't they always win?
That's rugby union. That's not really a sport that I follow, but yeah, they do end up just winning everything.
Okay, so who's the team that loses everything?
Depends on what sport you're talking about here.
Same sport. Keep the analogy going.
Rugby union? I don't know rugby union.
Alright. Well, I tried to help you out.
There's like
going
a
away from
dozen
American
other sports, and you chose the one that I don't know.
You know, it's Australian, right? So, regardless, we have the fight starting to come in as HCDN is going to pick off Chung Lee. They're playing, again, a bit more passive again. You're not seeing the very far forward defenses that some teams like to elect on this map. But Super Duper is going to pick off Pulsix. That's a huge pick onto the Mercy. Will he find some more? That's the million-dollar question. They can dive right in on top of him. He's got the support network with him, though. They need to start finding these kills. Dr. Meme in a bit of trouble. We'll have to back off. But they're starting to move the buggy down through the lower area, past the car wash, and into the meat of this map, Phoenix.
Yeah, they're trying to fight this on multiple fronts as Arx is trying to just punch a lot of those squishy members right out of the game. Does get one onto Super Duper, but the resurrection isn't going to be there yet. They do trade it right back, and it looks like this defense is going to be holding on for just a little bit longer as they force away the side of Tracer Dab. It was an interesting gambit to just go in, just throwing hands left, right, and center. Manages to pick up one for one trade, but the rest of the team was not able to really follow up on Arx's engage.
Well, we do have them starting to press forward again. The Doomfist can get very deep in the back line. That's Arx to get the Meteor Strike coming in. Will it connect? It is actually going to pick off Jarowitz. He seems to be getting caught out by a lot of these ults. Ghost, though, with the Diva Bomb, is going to pick off the Genji. And Arx still wreaking havoc in the back line, picks off Super Duper. So they should be able to move this all the way through. Arx is still finding more kills. He's doing so much work on this Doomfist.
Yeah, it's making it very hard for the defense to really set their feet, and it looks like they're able to clean up a lot of this fight. The defense is gonna have a few reinforcing members, but it's not gonna be enough. It's just some squishy backliners that have to be very careful when you do have that Doomfist ready to just throw those left hands. And also the right hands.
And the middle hands too. Don't forget about the third arm. Or you know, like if maybe you're General Grievous, you just have those four hands that you can make them get. But you do have this fight coming on top of the space shuttle. And here comes the Dragon Blade, gonna be getting right in. Samo's gonna pick off the Mercy again. Finds the Hanzo, will be taken out by the Tracer. So a 2K for him, not quite enough. You know, it's solid. They're getting a little bit of space. But I feel like you needed a little bit more. Still though, should be happy to find that Mercy pick.
Yeah, and also gave a lot of space for the rest of his team to just push the payload at least halfway through this section of the map, as the rest of the team are going to start making their way towards this second checkpoint as the fight is going to really start popping off. But it looks like Science are really starting to just clean up a lot of the members of Tracer Dab. They're even going to be able to stall out this Chung Lee kill, just make the Diva work for it. Just gonna stick on the payload, force them to make some kind of reaction, but they're just like, nah, we'll just let you stew on that one, as that is going to be a nice delay there for this defense of Silence, and they're finally able to have some point to hold on to. We have to see how Tracer Dab are going to be able to make their way back towards the point, because with how many ultimates, I just looked over and looked at the amount of ultimates on the side of Science. They have a lot to work with, and this is just going to be a devastating fight, as Joshi is just going to slap his way through, as the rest of the team is just going to get cleaned up from this one, and that is just going to be a bit of a nothing push, as a few ultimates were thrown in their direction.
More than a few. That was 3 by my count, and it's, you know, doesn't leave them a ton left for the defense. They have the Valkyrie, they have the Tracer Bomb, so they could drop the Pulse Bomb, but that's not much for a defense, especially when you note that 4 ults are going to be coming right in here, likely in this push. Both Valkyries being popped off. Transcendence is out as well as they're trying to move this cart forward. They haven't found any kills off of this yet. Finally, they woke up Super Duper, and here comes the Dragon Blade, getting up in his face. Sable doing what he can. The Diva Bomb is going to find another kill, and they have cleaned up many of these players. There's still just 2 left alive. Super Duper on the res is not going to be the only one trying to delay it out around this point. And I think, you know, with all those ultis used, they're going to be able to cap out this second point.
Yeah, it seemed like the previous engagement where Sans did utilize 3 of their ultimates to secure the fight. It seemed to be a little bit too much, and they didn't have enough for the return swing, but they are able to get back to the point just in time, but I'm not sure it will be enough. We do have the nano boost onto the Winston, but that's the only one really sticking there on the back line of the rest of Tracer Dab. They are trading kills back and forth, but it's looking like it's going to be a great fight here for the side of Sans. Alex is trying to do as much as he can, just going to be throwing that big, meaty hand, but it's not going to be enough, as Chun-Li is going to get the D-Mech onto Ghost, but it looks like it's not going to be enough, as Sans is going to be able to hold on for just a little bit longer, and it's down to 45 seconds. Starting to run out of time here for Tracer Dab.
Yeah, and here's the thing with Silence. Yeah, they used a few ults there, but I mean, there's not a lot of ults that are going to be up here for Tracer Dab to use. They're getting close. They have the Diva Bomb now. Ghost,
I believe he wanted to remake, and he wasn't in a good, convenient position to do
that's
so.
fair.
And,
I'll accept that.
Yeah, considering how long it was taking for the rest of Tracer Dab to make their way towards the point, it was given more than enough time. There we are. Ghost is going to be patrolling the top of this shuttle, as the rest of Tracer Dab are going to start pushing the payload towards this point. And with Hidden now on the Brigitte, they have a lot more durability, a lot more crowd control, and a lot more sustain in this fight, as the mech explosion is getting thrown into the skies, doesn't get anything out of it, as we do have the rest of the defense make their way towards the point. Chun-Li getting some good mileage out of this Diva, as we do have a lot of kills going over to the side of Tracer Dab. They may have just done it. They might have at least secured themselves a second checkpoint here, Dreamboat.
Yeah, we do still have the Diva Bomb on Ghost, and doesn't pop it off there. If that was popped off, that might have been enough to force them off the cart. And, you know, a bit of a misplay by Ghost. But yeah, the awkward spawns are in there, getting mowed down, 3 down for Silence. But I want to talk about a bit of a misplay for Ghost. Diva Bomb came in from Chun-Li, Ghost had hers. Went to fly up to the spaceship, lost the mech. And then again came in, got res, did get a chance, remech, still didn't get a chance to use that bomb. And that, you know, that bomb could have been the difference between saving and losing that point. Regardless, you know, 60 seconds left. All they need to do is full hold this point. It's not easy, but it is doable. So they may be looking to just have a stone wall of a hold here, Phoenix.
Yeah, that is going to be a tool that they will have for this defense, at least, as Dr. Meme is going to be able to dive forward. He does have, oh, we do have a lot of ultimates getting invested, but Super Duper does manage to get the kill onto Samo in the middle of that fight, as the mech explosion does get thrown through, does manage to pick off Pulse, which is a great kill. Getting that Mercy out of the fight is going to be very strong for them, and they're able to pick up a lot of the rest of these attacking members. Mech explosion gets thrown through, gets 2 members of the defending team, and also the D-Mech, and that could just secure the rest of this push. The defense is trying to hold on, but it's just squishing members left, right, and center when you have Dr. Meme on this Winston just sitting there with that left click, the Tesla cannon. They're not able to stick around, and we are going to have to go into extra innings here on Gibraltar.
Alright, so I'm a map and a half in, and this is where I'm going to call someone out. And it's been a major problem for Silence in the first map and a half that we've seen. And that's that Chero is just getting caught in awful, like... There will be ults in, there'll be a Diva Bomb, the only person that will go down is going to be Chero. Like, there are so many times that the Mercy has just been picked in rough spots, you know, some through not fault of her own, like some through just some nice plays, good positioning, like, of ults, or just some, like, straight up nice shots. I mean, Arx just hit some nutty stuff. So not entirely Chero's fault, but there are some of them where I'm just sitting here scratching my head thinking, like, that could be avoided.
To be that kind of a situation.
Yeah, like, you could have avoided that. You should have avoided that.
And sometimes it's not just the Mercy that needs to be in the right position. Some of our allies need to be in the right position, so the Mercy can also have an avenue out of the danger zone. And sometimes that might be a bit of a coordination issue on the side of Silence when it comes to just positioning. and not really giving the Mercy that out from a lot of the situations. And as you're mentioning, that is a bit of a sore spot. It's making it very hard for them to keep that Mercy alive in those fights. But we'll have to see how they go with this second round of attack. Both teams get a minute to work with, and already on this defense, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes as they are set up underneath. They are waiting. They're being very sneaky.
This is intriguing.
Oh,
they're getting
rushing
right in. They are diving straight forward, flying at them. But the problem is everyone else has the high ground. So they can lose their Brigida, and now they're in for a world of hurt. They're not in a comfortable situation. This cart is moving right past them. And this has backfired in the worst way possible. The rest of these kills should be cleaned up. Tracer Dab, well, they're doing a good job stalling out. They haven't managed to actually lose anyone yet. Chungli's found that kill, so what looked like it really was just going to be them getting cleaned up means that they might actually hold this out. The rest of these players are aggressing straight forward, trying to get in there. Dr. Beam will find the kill onto HDDN. They've stalled it out. Chungli's going to demech Ghost, and this has somehow worked, Phoenix?
Yeah, it looks like they're able to force away the attacking team from the point, and with just sheer force of will, and just very doggedly holding on to that low ground, just not allowing the attack to get onto the point. They are able to hold on with a very decent positioning, so they don't have to do all that much. It's going to force a very extreme reaction out of Silence on the defense.
All I will say is color me confused.
Yeah,
color me confused as to how exactly that actually worked out when it looked like it was going to completely backfire.
Yeah, and as you can see, they don't have very long to push this payload. Usually that is just you get that before even the first fight in a lot of defenses, but now they're going to be forced to hold a very forward defensive position. Silence, and that can go one of two ways. Either it works out incredibly well, or you get run over immediately and you lose it in like a few seconds.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's so tough too, because we know that's not the style that either of these teams would want to defend. From what we've seen of them in the first round of this map, was both of these defenses were set super passive. They were super content to let this cart move all the way down there for free. Like, they didn't care. They were happy to be sitting back. Unfortunately, because of the big stone wall and the hero play from Tracer Dab, they need to hold this far forward.
Yeah, and Arx is going to be the scout on the Sombra, just making sure that they're not going to be pulling the same strategy as what Tracer Dab did. And now they are going to start pushing this payload. And just waiting for the time where Silence is going to try and spring this trap, because they need to. They don't have much time to work with. They are starting to come out, and they're going to start dropping onto the point. They need to get there to stall out the cart for just a little bit longer, and they do have the Ghost composition. But Royal Eskimo gets the first kill onto Super Duper, as they are going to be able to get a return kill. But it's just trading back and forth, and it's just crazy, just... a messy skirmish right here. Already there is an Earth Shatter coming out, and it looks like it might be enough. It's just Ghost the last one left, and with just a single clean fight, it is going to be Tracer Dab that secures the win here on Gibraltar.
Okay, I need to give both teams full credit for creativity on the attempts of that defense. They were creatively done. I don't think I've ever seen like a team try and defend like that, so hats off to them. That was kind of nutty. But unfortunately, it only really worked out for one of the two teams that we had in this server. That's going to be Tracer Dab. And honestly, what I felt was kind of stealing of the map, to be honest with you. And a lot of that came off of Arx. Like, I mean, he was doing so much work. I felt like he was... Yeah, I mean, he was basically hard carrying. And then the other thing is, on the tank side, Chungli was doing a ton of work as well. And I just felt... the diva play there was the difference. Ghost won them the first map, won Silence the first map with that Hammond play. Ghost wasn't able to do the same level as Chungli on that diva, and that is going to be an interesting thing to watch, to me at least, for the third and final map of the evening, Horizon Lunar Colony. Will that continue to be the case? Will Ghost, like, which tank is going to outclass the other one? Because it's been a tale of the tape for two of them. Ghost with a much better first map than Chun-Li, much more noticeable. And Talons won that one. Chun-Li with the much more noticeable, much better second map. Tracer Dab won that one. They're 1-1 right now, and I'm curious to see if this is going to be a real even fight between them, or who's just going to outclass them, because I think that's going to be the X factor for this team.
Yeah, now we're on to an assault map, and considering it's Horizon Lunar Colony, that is a map where you can throw in the Wrecking Ball a little bit more. It's a little bit more enclosed. You're coming into some good choke points and some good funneling areas where the Wrecking Ball can really get a lot of value. And just the area control on Assault is much more valuable than on a payload map. So that could be something that Ghost could go back to really swing the favor back to the side of Silence.
And again, I mean, I hate to pick on a guy, but Sherowitz is like, that's what I need to see an improvement on as well, is keeping the Mercy alive. It's not just from the player standpoint, that's from the team standpoint. They need to do a better job of playing around the Mercy and not having it be the only thing getting picked in a lot of fights.
To be fair, I will say that I did see Arcs killing Kyra quite a few times with that Widow. So it wasn't just Sherowitz who was getting picked out. Like, they were getting picked out when it came to the ultimates, but when it was just like straight pushing play, just aim battles, Arcs was getting quite a few kills onto Kyra, and I guess what we could say is that the supports have been in some really weird positionings. Like, we saw one point where Tracer Dab were pushing their way through the shuttle bay, and Kyra was in a real weird flanking position. Or was it the other way around? Or was it when Silence was pushing? Or was the other? May have been the other one. But still, where supports on both sides have been in some weird positions.
Yeah, like Royal playing fairly flanky on that Zenyatta. It just feels weird. It doesn't seem right, but it worked at times. I mean,
sometimes it works.
Yeah, like it's so tough for me to sit here and be like, you know, it's terrible. Like, how dare like he do this? Because it didn't have its merits. Like, there were times that it worked out far better than. I mean, I was stunned. Some of the times that it just worked right. We have a small problem though. Player seems to have lost internet. Welcome to New Zealand and Australia.
New Zealand not as
not
much, but Australia, yeah. Apparently their net is much better, and I'm eternally jealous of most countries that have better net than Australia, which is actually quite a lot of countries.
Yeah. Canada, for one. Our dollar is the same, but our internet's better.
I just want better net. It's just not fun having better internet.
So we do have the teams going to be swapping over by the looks of it when we do finally get the sixth member of Tracer Dab back. They've swapped, so it's going to be
Silence
Ghost and the boys Silence on defense. Interesting.
Yeah, because what we saw on the first map of Ilios, when Silence was on the defensive side, when they were able to control a point, they looked incredibly solid. And when they were very much expecting Tracer Dab to be funneling through a lot of choke points and funnels towards an objective, they were able to deal with that incredibly well. Ghost was doing so much work with the Wrecking Ball in those specific situations. That might be an avenue that they're trying to really exploit here on Lunar Colony.
Also, like, I'm just reading what Royal Eskimo said in chat. He's swapping to his phone internet. He is playing this game off cellular data. That sounds like a nightmare. Oh my god.
The thing is, in some areas of this country, cellular data or cellular internet can be faster than some of our actual internet.
That's yikes, man. That's
well, to be honest, for a lot of my other commentary gigs, to do webcam stuff, I had to use my tablet and my cellular data as a separate webcam because my net is not good enough to do it without making me lag.
Oh man, that is. I'm so sorry. I feel like you
It's
guys
a
are
rough life.
yeah. Like you guys are a developed country, but sometimes I feel like the way you describe it, I'm
Developed
just like,
inverted
man, this
commas.
is yeah. Like,
Have you
sounds
seen
like
our
you're talking
government
about, like, a
lately?
third world country? I mean, I try to avoid all politics stuff, considering I am directly north of Trump.
Yeah, fair enough.
So you can bring up your political situation all you want.
It's just weird.
But
It's just weird. I'll say that much. It's just, it's just like a. Nah, I don't. Yeah. Anyway, let's just get into this third and final map. It is going to be Silence on the blue, Tracer Dab on the red.
And that will throw me at least once.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's here's the thing. What needs to be the focus for Silence is keeping their supports alive. Cherowitz was being picked off at the beginning of fights too easily, and then basically the second or third pick was always Kairu. And when your supports are going down, you're getting cleaned up with ease. You're getting rolled through. Will we see them be able to keep it up, or will it be a case of the GOAT comp running supreme? GOAT's offense.
They wanted to run all the way through, and this is the kind of map to do it. But there isn't going to be the wrecking ball on defense to really disrupt a lot of that. Just going for the static defense, and it's pretty much establishing a bit of a crossfire. But the GOAT's comp, they're just going to run straight past that. They don't care about this setup, and they're just saying, "Come to the point. We want to brawl here and now." There's a great opening kill onto Pulsix, but again, Joe is going to be the first one of the side of Silence to fall down, and that might make it very hard for them to really contest this fight.
Yeah, and that is just great work by Chungli getting in on the Mercy like he's done all series long, finding the free kill, and it looks like this GOATS is just going to roll through, cleaning up the rest of these kills. Same with a couple there. They've rolled through, and now it's time for them to roll through to point to Phoenix. Can they get in here quick and cap? They do have the Coalescence up on Royal Eskimo if they want to use it that way.
It'll be a good way to open this fight, and they are going to use it right away, and it should secure another few ultimates for the side of Tracer Dab. They do get a couple, and it's the supports that are going to be the first ones to go down. Sure, they do have a bit of a switch up when it comes to their composition, but it's not nearly enough, as they are just going to get completely blasted. But a nice couple of kills for Goes, managed to pick up but two of the supports with that mech explosion, but it's not looking like it's going to be enough. They are going to be starting to trail in on this defense, but with how many members are still around on the point, it looks like Tracer Dab, they're just going to utilize this momentum and just barrel their way through to point B and potentially secure at least a tick or two. Maybe the whole thing here, Dreamboat.
They have at least found that very first tick. Jushi is doing everything he can to delay it out. They have the Bastion up on Ghost. The mech's not going to be able to get that one cleaned up. Super Duper is on the Widow. It's kind of a questionable pick for me. And that results in being cleaned up. Down goes Sherry, and down goes the point. I really don't like spawning Widow there, to be honest with you.
Yeah, considering how many members of Tracer Dab were on the point, they needed more contesting of the point, and the Widow is just not going to do that. If you're able to set up prior to that engagement from the offense, sure, that Widow on the second point there can get incredible value, but once they had already lost a lot of that position, they needed more tools to contest the point, but they just didn't have that, and they just got barreled all the way through, and that's a lot of time in the bank there. Almost 6 minutes for Tracer Dab to work with. Should we even need that those extra rounds? And now we have to see how Silence go on offense.
Yeah, and I mean, that's basically money in the bank there. As soon as you have 6 minutes, that is a rough time to try and stop, and we're not going to see the full GOATs coming out. We will see them relying on arcs on Widowmaker. Same was going to be on Junkrat right now, it looks like. So that'll be an intriguing lineup for this defense to deal with. defense to roll with, I should say. Arcs did so much work. I can't imagine that he's not going to continue to have an easy time finding the supports, specifically Chair and Kairu. He's just done such a good and consistent job of finding all of those kills. Will it continue here, Phoenix? Like, do you think that they can do something to stop that? Can they mitigate him at all?
It's going to be a bit of a rough ask. I mean, it doesn't look like the side of Silence are going to go with the Ghost comp. They are going to be putting Ghost back onto the Wrecking Ball, and going into some of these static defenses, the Wrecking Ball can get some good value, but the rest of the team, they have to be on the same page, and they have to roll through as a team. They do have some good momentum and can roll through onto the point, as Ghost is, as I say, rolling onto the point. Ghost is going to force his defense to essentially readjust their static positioning, but with the rest of the team finally making their way through, Ghost is actually going to be the first one to fall in this fight, and it looks like with members starting to drop, Tracer Dab are going to hold on from this first push.
And they do stonewall them out on point one. Arcs with a few nice shots there on the Widowmaker. Now, you know, the last two players to fall will finally spawn. That's Jersey and HTDN. So they will look like they'll elect to go straight back in the same comp, of course, to try and build up some of these ultis. But look at Arcs. He's already on 86% for the vision on Widow. It is a fast-building ult, but that's a lot of charge very quickly.
Yeah, and again, we do have Ghost just rolling up on the point. Force a reaction out of the defense. Does get a nice engagement there right onto the high ground. Just slams right into him, and they are going to be able to secure quite a few kills, and that's what we want to be seeing out of Ghost and out of this Wrecking Ball. Just get right in onto that static defense, force the disruption, and then have the rest of the team follow up, and they're finally going to be able to get to this first point.
Yeah, we do have a swap coming out. Simo has gone on to the Reaper. As they shuffle things up, Arcs is going to go over to the Immortal Doomfist. And look at this. They're playing on the scaffolding. This is where the defense is coming in. They're just going to drop right in Dr. Meme and Samo and the Diva from way up above, raining down
the top rope.
Some justice in. And they go swan diving off, and what an honor bomb that was. That just antied everybody, literally all 6 players, and that's going to be an easy cleanup, an easy clap right there. What a modem.
References to coming in from the top of the cage that you can do from that kind of play. It's really nicely done there, and yeah, we do have a good adjustment over to a bit of a Ghost comp for the side of Silence, but it just got completely dismantled by that engagement, so we'll have to see how it goes for this second play. They will be a little bit more wary about that kind of play coming in. They're going to go for it again, just drop in from the top rope, but I'm not sure if Silence are going to be able to handle it as well, as we do have the Monkey jumping in, and the rest of the team is just going to slam away. We do have the Nano Boost onto the Reaper. He's going to start wailing away on a lot of those very beefy members. Shadow gets dropped, gets nothing out of it, and it looks like this defense is going to be holding on for just a little bit longer, but Jersey managed to take down Arcs. The Reaper is the next one to go down as well. The Transcendence is going to be coming out as defensive ultimates are getting popped left, right, and center. Graviton gets used, and it looks like they're able to really just converge on the point, make it hard for this defense to hold on. As we are just training ultimates back and forward, but so far it's looking pretty good for this offense here, Dreamboat.
Yes, offense is still rolling. Spawns keep coming in, but they're not finding really any of these kills. Super Duper is going to find 2 quick ones right off the bat, but Chair has fallen. Down goes the Mercy. Super Duper, though, doing so much work on this Zarya. They're finding these kills. They still haven't managed to find ticks, though. This delay is so good. It is starting to burn off time, and that's really the name of the game. 6 minutes is in the bank already for Tristan. Now they're looking to burn off any more time that they can, but that mowdown is so strong. But they're still just delaying this out, Phoenix.
Yeah, just as you mentioned, it's all about time and how long they can just stall this out. Graviton does get used as the armor up is going to get dropped, as well as the Wrecking Ball is going to drop his way onto the point, but it's not going to be enough. Actually, he does manage to still have it just a little bit longer. They're just stalling for as long as possible, as it dropped an extra minute off the clock, as they are going to be able to keep on stalling out for just a little bit longer, but it's not going to be enough. And round 2 has been completed, so they do end up capturing both of those points, but with a little bit less time to work with.
that was like that could have been in almost the same time. That could have been almost 5:56 left on the clock. And instead it's 3:50. The way they burn that clock for a solid minute and a half is absolutely massive at this stage in the game. Of course, if you can go straight back through and call it a day. Oh, okay, we got pause.
Yeah, we do get a pause. Ghost is just going to be resetting. I believe his net is still an issue, as it always is. But I'm just a little bit confused about these defenses from either side. We have seen the Goats comp come in on offense, but the defense still going for these compositions that are just not able to stand on a point all that long. They just get torn apart by the Goats comp and they just get out-brawled. And at that point, they're just scrambling at these second-point defenses, and it's just not really working out.
The real thing they just need to bring in is the Goats comp defense. Goats against Goats. Out-Goats them.
Yeah. That it either bring a Goats comp to combat the Goats comp, or bring something to disrupt it. I'm just a little bit surprised that, considering how good the Wrecking Ball is into a very bunched up group of enemies, that we're not seeing as much of it from these teams into that kind of offense. I mean, we've seen Ghost get a lot of value out of it throughout this entire series. I kind of want to see them bring the Wrecking Ball out if we do see another Ghost composition coming in from the side of Tracer Dab.
Well, that pause was all good and jolly, but we haven't gotten rid of. No pause needed. We are back here, ready to go. Finally live. 30 seconds left. You know, to prepare a defense, prepare your attack, decide what you want to do, how you want to do it, before we get onto the dance floor. You know, intrigued. It looks like we might have Goats defense.
Yeah, it looks like we do have Goats on defense. Finally.
And Goats on offense?
Yeah, and
talk about Goats on offense.
Well, and on offense. This is the adaptation that I want to be seeing. I want to see Ghosts coming in with this Wrecking Ball, just slamming straight in onto that clumped up pack, get the value out of those adaptive shields, and just disrupt that static hold that the Ghosts or at least this, static hold that this composition is wanting to hold. But there's a stun does come through, and they're going to start making their way as the Ghost comp. They're not going to be stationary. They are not going to hold back. They are going to run straight at the offense and force them all the way back to spawn.
Yeah, a complete scatter, and that's going to see a bit of a change up. Ghost going off the Wrecking Ball onto the Zarya. They've got a Ryan and Ana going. Okay, this is interesting. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I mean, the Pharaoh is going to get a lot of extra value, and he's going to be able to control so much space. There's no one to be able to deal with that presence in the skies, but it doesn't really matter when they could just take care of the rest of the attacking members. Cherwitz is going to be the first one to go down. There is a return kill onto Pulsix, but this defense is holding up pretty strong, even though they don't have really much to deal with that Pharaoh in the skies.
Yeah, sometimes you don't need to deal with it if you just have the shields for days. There will be the Coalescence in to try and deal with it. D.Va's going to get up right in the face of that Pharah. This is the only thing that they really have to counter it. And Chun-Li is actually getting raided onto the Mercy as well. Technically, we'll find Jershi. She's starting to grind the time back down. Super Duper is chimed back in, though, with a big pick onto the Reinhardt. And there will not be a res coming in. There is no Mercy on this defense, so that is a massive pick.
Yeah, here comes the self-destruct. Doesn't get too much, just cleans up a bit of the shields, but a great rocket barrage does clean up 2 of the supports on the defensive side. And as you mentioned, with the Mercy not there, they don't have resurrections, and with so many members going down, this is going to be the first point going over to the side of Silence. And now I have to see what kind of reaction there's going to be out of this defensive side. They are sticking with a bit of a Ghost composition, but they have Pulsix moving over to the Ana, potentially something to deal with hidden in the skies, just to be able to snipe him right out of there. But I'm very interested to see how this one is going to be able to play out.
Well, they're getting right up in their faces already, and that Graviton's gonna lock them way back in depth. That was a bizarre charge that actually didn't pin anyone, despite taking 2 people for a long ride. And we have the Earth Shatter that's also not gonna catch anything as well. So, you know, close but no cigar as they find a few kills, forcing players back right now. That's a very late pick onto Ghost as they're spawn camping them, this defense. Right back at the spawn doors.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit worried that that may have been a bit of an overextension. They had already gotten quite a few kills with the Graviton. I feel as though that Earth Shatter was a bit too much, and they won't have that coming in for this next defense. They are going to have the extra armor with the rally up coming through, but on the other side, look at what they've got. They've got a Graviton, they've got an Earth Shatter, they've got the Valkyrie, and almost, well, as I say that, they do have a Rocket Barrage. Coalescence is going to come through on the defense, try and keep the rest of the team nice and healthy, and also just poke away at the offense. They are going to be able to get a nice kill on the Widow, stall out this offense just a little bit longer. And as you were saying, throughout this series, Chun-Li doing an incredible amount of work with this D.Va, making it very hard for the side of Tracer Dab to really set up, or Silence to set up.
Well, there is 45 seconds left on the clock. GL Phoenix. We have 1, maybe 2 pushes left in them. They're winding this clock down. It's looking like it might just be 1 good push. We got the D.Va bomb going right in. That's gonna pick off. It picks off Chair again. Every single time Chun-Li picks off the Mercy. A couple kills have come back in as a response. Super Duper is in on this last wide open, uncontested. It might be able to find a bit more, but that has stunted things so ungodly heavily that it looks like they should be able to hold this one off, potentially without even giving up a tick.
Ooh,
maybe not so.
Yeah, a nice kill onto the Eskimo on the Moira, so that's going to be another two. Oh, Earth Shatter gets completely blocked out, and they are starting to lose members on the defense. It's just Ultimate's getting popped left, right, and center, but it looks like the kills on defense are coming through in the end. Hidden does manage to demech Chun-Li, but it's not going to be enough for the rest of the fight. They just got too many members here. The Wrecking Ball does come through to get so a little bit of chaos and just throw around the offense, and after a pretty back and forward kind of offense, it is going to get held there at second point, no percentage. So all we need to see out of the side of Tracer Dab, they need to make it all the way through point A and even just a little bit of point B.
4 ticks is all that they need. 4 out of 6 ain't bad. So we'll see if they can get over 50%. If they can break the 50% mark, and I'm gonna curious to see whether they continue ghosting. No, 50%'s 3. They wouldn't win it if they only had 50%. 50%'s only 3 ticks. 3 out of 6? They need 4 to win. They wouldn't have won it if they only 3.
I thought you were saying 50% of, like, a single bar.
Oh, no.
I just completely bamboozled myself. Anyway.
Oh, I
have a lot of time to work with, at least. Yeah, it's, I don't know. It's been one of those nights. I don't know.
It's half the fun. I'm only here to make fun of you. I'm not here to actually cast. That'd actually be a really fun job. Just like the anti-co-caster is all you do is sit there just with the full job of making fun of people.
I've actually had that conversation like multiple times in the past, and I don't want to.
Shut up, Phoenix. You're an idiot. Like
I get that enough anyway.
I mean, true. But, you know, like, I feel like that'd just be fun, just to be an anti-caster for once. But we know it is an anti-hype moment. That's a deflating play if you're this offense losing arcs very early.
Yeah, and all I wanted was Arcs to go in as a bit of a scout, but gets trapped up and blown up. They do have a bit of an idea of what they're running into at this stage, though, and Arcs is going to switch over to the Widow, try and get some opening picks, and try and open up this defense. Because if they're able to get the first point, the worst they can go for is a draw here. So they want to at least get that.
Well, Super Duper has picked up Pulse-X with a nice opener. Oh, and the follow-up on the Arcs is dirty as well. Ghost is going to chime in, and this offense is stumped out already.
Do we see a switch back to the tried and true Goats composition? As we do see the adjustments. There we go.
When in doubt, goats it out.
Yep. They try to be fancy, try to be a little bit smart, but when they walked straight into a Widowmaker just cleaning up a couple of heads, they're just like, yeah, let's just run straight through them, just completely ignore a lot of that setup. But Royal Eskimo is going to be the first one to fall down, but they have managed to make their way towards the point, forcing out a reaction of the defense. And now have to see if they're going to be able to do it efficiently enough. Samo gets cleaned up as well. Super Duper is doing a decent amount of work with his Widow on defense, and it looks like they're going to be able to clean this one up here, Dreamboat.
Yeah, once again, they are able to successfully hold it out. Ghost going down, or getting down and getting a couple kills, I should say. Pick it off Arcs, and now Chun-Li will fall late to Kairu. They almost get a tick, but almost getting a tick's not going to cut it. They need 4 of those. So we need to see something come together here. We need to see a very effective push. And, you know, they do still have 3.5 minutes left of the clock. They've burned about, you know, a third of the time they had banked already. But Phoenix, we need to see something, and it looks like the push is coming in right now.
Yeah, but looking at the ultimates coming in, it's going to be a bit of an explosive entry onto the point, as Royal Eskimo yet again is going to be the first one to fall down, as they are going to be able to make their way onto the point, but they've already lost their Moira, which they really want to be having around for the extra heals, as the Mana Boost does get popped, trying to just shred down a lot of that front line, and that's what they're going to be able to do, as the rest of this offensive side, they're not able to get much done, and again they're held to not even a single tick, as you start to worry just a little bit for the side of Tracer Dab. They want to just run their way onto the point with this Goat's composition, but this Junkrat is really throwing a wrench into that plan.
Yeah, and I mean, here's one of the big differences already. The fact that Cher and Kyrie were staying alive in all of these pushes. That's so huge. The supports are staying alive, and Eskimo is going to fall at the beginning. You know, the same that was working for them before is now falling apart. They're not able to keep their supports alive for this offense, and they're starting to crumble because of it. HTD and will find a couple kills. They're picking off Dr. Mimasamo. Chun-Li's being demeched again, and this is still going to be the defense holding. They keep managing to find all these early support picks. They're finally keeping theirs alive, and it looks like they could just absolutely stonewall this first point.
Yeah, and just 3 pushes back to back to back. Royal Eskimo on the Moira getting cleaned up right off the bat. Super Duper is doing incredible amounts of work. Just getting those entry kills. Alongside Hidden with the Junkrat, able to just make it so hard for this offense to push their way through. They're just waiting out this vision, or the infrared visor, so they could just come in with a little bit more space to work with, as they are going to be able to rally up, and they're just going to use everything to try and just get everyone onto the point, as they are going to lose one right off the bat. It's going to be Pulsix this time. Super Duper starting out these fights incredibly well, but with everyone else on the point here for the side of Tracer Dab, they're able to get a couple of kills. Chun-Li on the Diva may have just opened this one up for them. They're able to get onto the point and get clean up the rest of this defense, and it took a bit of effort, Dreambird, but they're finally able to get a good fight in their favor.
And they have now clinched the draw. They need 1 tick. They have 1:35 to do it. Can they do it, Phoenix? They're starting to roll forward. They're starting to get ready to get right into this point. And we need to see a big hero defense come in right now.
Yeah, they have made a few adjustments, which means they have pretty much reset when it comes to the ultimate for some of them, and they have to just invest the rest of them so they can keep the fight going. Samurai is going to be the first one to go down, as they are just going to slam their way straight on towards the point, but it's just trading back and forth right now. It's looking like the defense is going to be holding on for just a little bit longer, but we just have to wait and see how the adjustments are going to come through. Samo has switched over to the Pharah to try and contest in the skies, as they're just going to be able to stall out this kill of Chun-Li, and that could be a massive, massive game changer when it comes to this final push, potential final push.
I was looking for like the stupid hero play from Chun-Li there, just like somehow killing like Chair or something. Just like I love it when going for the hardcore stagger just backfires, you know, where you just end up opening things up and letting them kill one of your supports. And it's just like, well, shit, that wasn't worth it. But we do have things that might be worth it. We have arcs on that Widow, Samo on the Pharah. They have done so much work on those classes thus far. Ooh. And arcs getting super duper is a very big opener.
Yeah, the coalescence does get used to bring arcs back into the fight. They're able to clean up Jersey, who did dive incredibly deep. Shadow gets dropped, and they trying to just lock out. They don't want the draw. They want to secure the win. They're able to get back onto the point, push it into overtime, but the rest of the defense isn't there. They do manage to pop it. Ghost gets there in the nick of time, but gets shoved straight off, and that is going to be it. Tracer Dab do manage to secure the fight, they secure the point, and secure the 2-1 after it was looking like that offense was not going to be able to get anything. But they do manage to secure the win.
That was a steal of a round. Like, I thought for a fact that we were having a draw there. I thought there was no way.
Oh yeah.
The Diva Bomb was coming in. That was going to force all these players off the points. But Ghost has to jump off the point. Ghost gets knocked off the point. And the bomb didn't even go off. It let them cap it out. Someone braved it. They knew they were gonna die, and they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna bank on this. I'm gonna stand here. I'm gonna eat the bomb, and maybe I'll cap it out. I didn't see who it was that managed to do that, but they pulled it off. That was absolutely massive, and really just a steal of a game. That was an amazing game, Phoenix.
Yeah, it was just back and forward the whole way through, going all the way back to Ilios. It was just back and forward, just trading back and forth. There was some great plays and also some questionable ones on both sides, but in the end, it is going to be Tracer Dab that secures themselves the win. It was a 2-1. It was looking like it was going to be a draw, but in the end, we do actually get a result out of it, which is always nice to see. I mean, the draws make for some interesting storylines, but it's always nice to get result at the end of the day.
And Phoenix, it's that time of night. I make you do the MVP pick.
Yeah.
And you always complain that I make you do it first.
Yeah, and I already saw.
So I'm gonna be the bigger man and actually.
I saw who put in the chat, and I was actually going to agree. It was going to be between two players. It was going to be between Arcs and Chun-Li. Arcs doing incredible work on the Widow and also the Doomfist, creating so much space. But the one that you chose, and who I'm probably going to choose as well, is Chun-Li, who was so solid on that front line, did incredible amounts of work, and a lot of it was between those two doing a lot of the work for the side of Tracer Dab.
Yeah, and I mean, the big thing is if it weren't for the fact that Chun-Li in every single time I was looking for where they were going